Hey, I'm Kylie, former NICU travel nurse and founder of Passports and Preemies, and you're listening to Clocked Out, Life Beyond the Bedside. This podcast is for nurses who are ready to ask, what else is out there for me? Each week, we dive into what it means to thrive as a nurse beyond the hospital walls through conversations about burnout, alternative careers, travel, financial freedom, and wellness. Whether you're deep in burnout or just craving more freedom, you're in the right place. It's time to redefine what life after clocking out really looks like. Hi, you guys, and welcome back to Clocked Out Life Beyond the Bedside. Today, I am talking to Tori, who, I've known her forever, but I feel like everybody knows her, which I know isn't the case. So let me tell you about Tori. Tori is a NICU nurse, and she has such an interesting background. She actually most recently started NICUity, which is this incredible company based on NICU education. This is for new NICU nurses. However, she did let me know that this company, NICUity, is expanding rapidly and it's no longer solely targeted to new nurses in the NICU. So I'm really excited to see the future of her company and what she's doing with that. But I preface it in the sense that, like, she's done so much in her career and in her life. She had a really successful podcast called The Selfie Show, and she is just all around so fun and amazing. She is so open. I have followed her for a very long time, and I love her ability to share openly on social media. I think it's really cool. We talk a lot about failure in this episode, but not failure in a negative way, failure in a positive way. She applied, I think, 3 times to get into nursing school. She failed the NCLEX. She didn't get the job that she had originally wanted. So she's just very insightful when it comes to, what some people consider failure. However, she has now created a successful online brand. She has created a successful company, NICUity. And I think it's really amazing to see how somebody can go from maybe struggling, in academia to doing what they're doing now. And she's just such a light and kind of like a beacon of hope, I think. I hope you enjoy this episode with Tori, and let's get into it. Hi, Tori. I'm so excited to talk with you today. When I was doing my research for this episode and basically stalking you, I had such a hard time deciding like what route to take because one, you're so open. Two, you've done so many interesting things. And so when I was trying to decide, like, God, I feel like I could sit here for hours with you, but I know you have a new baby at home. So congratulations on Sloan, right?
Thank you, Miss Sloan. Yes, and we have a
Yes.
new nanny, so I'm a free girly, which we love.
I Yeah, I love that for you.
yes.
Today I kind of was hoping to focus on like, now when I say this word, I mean it in a positive way, but I want to focus on failure and
Yeah.
loss and kind of picking yourself back up because I think that there's a lot of times in the nursing field and career where things are, you might consider something to be a failure, but it really ends up being a blessing in disguise. With that, I
Yeah.
kind of want to just jump right in. So,
Yeah. I love that.
your failures are the biggest things that make you. Do you remember saying that?
I do. And I still live by that. 5 years later, I still live by that.
That was like episode 1 of the Selfie podcast. I like downloaded every single episode of you that was kind of like about your life. So that's where I started. And honestly, when you said that, I got goosebumps because I agree with it 100%. And I think failure is something that people are made to feel ashamed of.
Right.
So can you tell us what your biggest failures in life have been?
Right. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And I think it's still funny, like looking where I am now and just like, I guess where I am now was built on a lot of those failures that in the moment seemed like the worst things in my life. And fast forward, I would 100% not be here without those. So, backstory, I grew up in Southern California, right? I went to University of Arizona, bear down for all my Wildcats out there. It's funny. The running joke is the U of A kids are all the kids who wanted to go to USC, but we couldn't get in. So then we decided to go to U of A, right? Like
Okay.
Harvard of Arizona. Okay. So long story short, went to Harvard of the desert. And it's funny though, because quick little funny story. Initially, when I went to U of A, I was registered as pre-business, right? Or like business was going to be my way. In another world, if I wasn't a nurse, 100%, I would go into like marketing, PR, that along those lines of work, right? Like I love that kind of work. I love branding. I love that kind of stuff. So anyway, long story short, we were sitting, my dad took me to my orientation. We were sitting in orientation in this great hall where there's like 300 people. And my dad, mind you, comes from the business world. He was a real estate mogul. It's like what he did. And we both fell asleep in the orientation. And I literally just like, it's funny. We both classic, love it. We wake up and we look at each other and my dad's like, do you want to get out of here? And I was like, yeah, let's go. So we left and my dad looked at me as I was leaving and he was like, is there anything else you want to do? Because I don't think this resonated with you. Like, what else, And I was like, well, I really was thinking that I would like to become a nurse potentially, like that's like definitely another line. Like it wasn't necessarily in my household immediately, but I definitely was like, I think I want to be a nurse. And I was like, okay, let's go. So we went to the bursar's office. We switched to pre-nursing. Okay. And that's kind of what started me on my nursing career or my, journey, if you will. Go figure.
I love this story. And also so random that both of you fell asleep.
Literally, like, so funny. Anyway. So fast forward, that did start my nursing journey, which I would argue was not, maybe it is the norm, but it felt like it wasn't the norm. I was the person that had to apply 3.5 times to get into nursing school. I was the person that had to literally go to the office and knock on their door and be like, when are your applications opening? And when am I going to do this? And why wasn't I the best candidate last time? And what can I do next time? I mean, they knew me. By the time I had my acceptance letter, literally the ladies in the office knew my name. They knew me by person because I literally was so incessant. I was like, I am going to do this. I know this is going to happen. And academia does not come naturally for me.
But this is interesting because what you're saying, that's probably how I would act now. But you applied, how old were you? Like 18-ish to 21-ish?
Yeah, 18,
okay.
Yeah.
So how did you have that confidence and that perseverance?
Yeah. What's so interesting is I think that was sort of innate. I also maybe attribute that a little bit to how I was raised, my dad, right? My dad was very much a go-getter. And he was kind of the mindset of like, if you want something bad enough and you're not naturally good at it, you are going to have to work 10 times harder to get to that position. And ultimately, the person who works harder, it's going to pay out for them, right? Versus someone who it's naturally easy to, and they haven't had that struggle. And so I think I just really honed in on that. And I had rejection after rejection, honestly. It got to a point where I was like at a loss. I remember being at one of my best friend's house. It was spring break, and I had submitted for it was my third time applying to nursing school, right? And so at this point, I did have to have another degree backup because I was getting to the point where I was, junior year and I kept getting rejected. I had started applying in sophomore year and I had to have a backup plan. And so it was spring break and I called my dad, the first person I called, and I said, I didn't get in again. And I just started crying and telling him about, okay, what am I going to do? What's my backup plan? Da, 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 da. And then he said, stop. Is this what you want to do? Do you want to become a nurse? And I said, yes, of course I want to become a nurse. And he said, then full stop. He was like, you're going to get it, baby. You just need to keep going. Just keep going. Make your plan A, plan B, plan C right now. And it was that moment where he was just keep going. There was no hesitation, right? It's one of those things where I knew it was going to happen. Literally, I kid you not, I believe it was probably 3 months later. I got a call from the office, from the nursing office, and they were like, congratulations, you've made it in. I made it in because someone dropped
Okay.
out of that class.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure it was because I literally knew Sue in the office there at University of Arizona. I don't know if she's still there to this day. I loved Sue. She was the one who called me. And she was so elated to tell me that. And I don't know if it was like a face to a name. Who knows? Did I have the best GPA? No, but I 100% knew I was going to work harder than anybody. And I got in finally. But I will tell you, it's hard. It is really hard to hear rejection and the I'm sorry's to inform you and the, try next time, blah, blah, blah. It's awful. It's not fun to have that.
I kind of feel like failure is you only truly fail if you give up.
Correct.
And you are the example of that.
Yeah.
You didn't give up. And
No.
look
No.
at you now.
Yeah.
We're going to get into it. But now you are like, wow. Like,
I love
very
you. I love you.
impressive.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. I mean, again, my failures didn't stop there. I know something that fast forward. So through nursing school, I would argue I was kind of like the middle girl. I wasn't the worst. I wasn't the best. I would say in the test taking portions, definitely lower middle.
Okay.
But in terms of skills and in terms of showing up and being on the floor, that's where I shined. That's where I do well. That's my thing. I love the inaction. I like getting my hands dirty. I like being the person to try the skills, do the things. During that process, of course, I wanted NICU because NICU was my dream. That was what I wanted to do. And of course, what do I get? Acute care adult for my preceptorship.
Opposite. Yeah. Okay.
Right. And I'm like, okay, I will say for all my girlies out there who are going through something like this or you're in this situation, I was like, okay, this is an opportunity for me to really try this, see how it goes. I definitely learned that it is not what I wanted to do. I will say that.
Okay.
But I did learn a lot along the way. And during that process, I was like, how do I get into see the patient populations that I actually want to do? So I did have to go out of my way. I had one of my best friends, Mandy, in nursing school. You guys know you all have your nurse bestie. Of course, she got PICU. She was like the 4.0 girly. She was very smart. Mandy to this day, she's getting her DNP. This girl is like Miss Academia. I love her.
Okay.
But she got PICU. And of course, she didn't want PICU. And I was like, so anyway,
You're like, I'll trade you.
I'll trade. So she was kind enough to hook me up with one of her preceptors. And Diane, I would argue, looking back on this, is probably one of the most influential people I've ever had in my life. Diane was a PICU CVICU nurse. She was kind of one of those, like, everyone's going to know what I mean here, right? She was the boomer baddie who came in with her print top and just like quirky, had been there forever. Her lunch was always in a plastic bag from the grocery store. She was a hot mess. She was organized, but in a really chaotic
but she
way.
probably never needed to write down report.
Nope, never.
Yeah,
never did.
I know.
Never never needed to write down.
I love those nurses, and I'm kind of jealous of them.
100%, me too.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I literally made a whole thing of report sheets because that is me. And so she took me under her wing. I had asked her to shadow her, and I said, "Hey, can I come and shadow you?" And she was like, "Okay, let me see if I can get this approved." Again, this is me going on to the unit. This was me. And I know it's a little different nowadays. Things are not quite as maybe loosey-goosey or how it was then, but there's still ways you can get in there.
Yeah.
And so I shadowed her during it was my fourth, what do you call it? The semester, right? And it was during my preceptorship. And I learned more with her in my shadowing shifts than I probably did in any situation, right? I got to watch her. I mean, I couldn't really do anything, but the way she was teaching, her passion, her drive, she was just so excited for me. She knew I wanted to be there. I was right in there with her. She was like, if she forgot something, I was trying to remember, what do we need, right? And to learn as fast as I could. Fast forward, I got a job on the unit.
Okay.
Graduated with the PICU job. Girl, this is what dreams are made of. I literally interviewed with the manager and she was like, "Great, you're hired." And then she goes, "Okay, so you're going to need to take your NCLEX in the next 30 days for us to accept you."
Okay.
And I said, "Okay." And so I took a deep breath and I was like, all right, we had graduation right around the corner. I was graduating. I was like, I'm moving out. I'm moving into a new place. All of this stuff happened. Things were in motion. And it came to the day I had literally 30 days to prepare. And you know me, I am not a girl of test taking. That is not me.
Okay. Okay.
Long story short, I literally took the test and I knew that day I failed it. Like I knew.
Okay.
I knew I
Like
failed it.
you knew in your heart or you had the results?
No, I knew in my heart
Okay.
because, and I don't know if it's still current, but back in those days, you had to wait, was it 2 weeks or whatever
Okay.
for the turnaround results, right? I had the full, however many, 270 questions. I was sweating. I was so nervous. I remember just sitting in every question and just double thinking it, triple thinking it, like what? I knew I bombed it. Long story short, of course, I get the letter. We are sorry to inform you that you have failed the
Okay.
NCLEX. Literally, my life,
Right.
like
Yeah.
that
Crumbled.
day,
Yeah.
I crumbled. I was like, what is going, like, I've worked so hard to
Yeah.
get here. I have done so much to come to this moment. I am determined. I knew this is what I was supposed to do. I knew that I was supposed to be a PICU nurse. I knew that all these things were going to happen. I would argue I busted my ass more than probably like,
Yeah.
90% of the people there. And I didn't get it.
But the
And I
worst
couldn't
thing
do it.
about the NCLEX is that it doesn't show how you're going to be as a nurse,
Agreed.
which is really
100%.
frustrating.
Right. And I think I have no idea. I know that they have done a revamp of NCLEX, right? They have done a new update. I can't speak to that per se. I'm in hopes that it is more accurate or more, aligned with what actual nursing is. I think to your point, Kylie, I think we don't prepare nurses enough for the realities of nursing. I think that's why we're losing so many people, right? We're losing people to burnout. We're losing people to turn, like, healthcare is a beast. And I would argue it's getting harder.
Yeah.
So in my dream of dreams, right, I knew that this was what I was going to do. And I failed, right? Like I got the rejection. I got the no. Okay. So that happened. And my dad said, okay, well, move home. And your next goal and only goal is you need to pass that test. Because once you pass that test, your whole life can open up, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
and I would say to anyone who has failed, this is strategic, right? Like to pass that test, it is, and especially for my girlies who are not academia focused, it is strategic and it is very intentional how you do it, right? So for me, a couple little tips for my girlies who are not academia. The first thing I would say that I did was I moved home and I said, okay, for the next however many months, my whole job is to study for this thing and pass that damn test. So I changed my setting. We went into Starbucks. We went into the library.
I love studying at Starbucks.
Starbucks, like
I love it. Yeah.
say what you will about Starbucks, you guys. I love a good Starbucks. That's a good study session right there.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Many a session happened there for me. So library, Starbucks, I had a circulating places of study to get you out of the house. I could not be in the house. I had to be out of the house for me. And I do think there's something to it where you need to get out of your comfort zone.
I do too.
So you just got to do it. I know there's a lot of situations out there, my girlies who have kids, like try and make that happen, right? The other thing I will say is I put myself on a schedule. So I was on basically a Monday through Friday schedule. And I said, okay, I'm going to show up. I'm going to be there at 9 a.m. because your girl is not a morning girly.
Yeah.
But I tried. So I did a 9 a.m. to loosely 3, right? And I just was like, I'm going through material. I'm practicing things over and over. And I will say, I think the icing on the cake for me was I did take 2 classes. I took, at the time, I believe it was the Hesse and Kaplan. I did 2 because I just was that nuts about it.
Yeah.
Lived at home. I wasn't working. I had the fortune of having parents that supported me through that. Also, backstory for anyone who's curious, I did have jobs during college. I worked as a server at Cheesecake Factory. Shout out.
Oh, I love that.
Love that
I like
name.
Cheesecake Factory.
I know that whole menu, so let's just say. So yeah, I made a job of it. And the second time I took it, I believe I, again, had the full amount of questions just because that's the girly I am, but I passed. And that was probably, I would argue, top 5 and best moments of my life because I think I I realized in that moment, freedom, right? Whatever I do from here, nothing will be as hard as what I just went through.
What do you wish that, at the time before you passed, what do you wish you could go back and tell your younger self?
Oh my God. It's going to work out.
Yeah.
It's going to be better than you think. It's going to be better than you ever imagined.
Yeah.
And it truly was, because had I not failed, right, NCLEX, had I not failed all these attempts, I would not be where I was. And also at the time when I had passed, I had time to prepare interviews and become an expert interviewer. And I will say also, during interview season, I had interviewed my senior during preceptorship. During that last quarter, I'd interviewed at a couple children's hospitals other than the one that I was in, right?
Mhm.
And one of them was a NICU, a very large NICU on the West Coast. I would argue one of the largest.
Okay.
And I did that interview. I had literally flown out for it from Arizona to California. And I did this interview and I knew I bombed it. I left being like, there's no way they would ever hire me anyway, And fast forward, it's interesting because those were things I knew I needed to work on. I knew I needed to work
Right.
on interviewing, my skills. I needed to brush up on my confidence and really get into that. And at the time, there really weren't a lot of resources for us. It was
Right.
just like fly by the seat of your pants. You
Yeah.
just hope and pray and
Okay,
practice.
but you're leaving me hanging. Did you get it?
I did.
Okay.
I got my job. Well, so not from that. I got my job. I had passed NCLEX.
Okay.
And then I went through a series of interviews and I landed my first job at a level 4 NICU in Southern California. It was my home hospital and I loved it. And also, shout out, my best friend at the time was a really big help in that she worked on the unit and she's like, you really should come apply here. And so that's what I did. It's funny because originally I was like, oh, I'm going to be a PICU CV nurse. No.
But did
Into
you,
NICU.
failing the NCLEX and then with NICU being such an acute unit, did you have any imposter syndrome when your friend was like, oh, come apply here? Were you like, I can't, I'm not good enough? Or were you just like, oh, yeah, I could do it?
No. I mean, I
Okay.
think the running joke for all of us, right, in NICU is, do you ever feel 100% good? No, and you shouldn't. I think I was 100% nervous. I mean, we work in micros and mills, and we work in very high stakes a lot of the time, right? We work in very, very in complex social situations and complex. There's a lot to what we do. I was very nervous starting my first job. I mean, I think every day coming home was like the terror of, what did you forget? Or what did I not do? Or what did I miss? The first couple of years, honestly, for me, it was I think I did have a lot of anxiety my first couple of years of being a new nurse and just figuring it out. And I think, especially for those who work in those level 4, level 3 NICUs, there's a lot to think about. And there's a lot at stake. And so it's very scary, honestly, for your first couple of years to really get comfortable.
After 10 years, 9,
Yep.
there were some shifts I left when I still did that over and over.
Me too.
What about this? What about that?
100%.
You replay every second of your shift.
I have a couple shifts in my head where I know the people that I was on with will forever be like your besties, because you're in such crazy, traumatic, ridiculously the things that you see and you do, if you're a NICU nurse for long enough, you see things and do things that you're like, I never in your wildest dreams could even think of this, right? And it creates these bonds with these people. And I mean, certain patients stay with you for a lifetime.
Forever.
I mean, there are definitely, I wouldn't say everyone. At this point, I would say it's few far and in between. But now it's like the things that did really stick with me at the time really do stick. And yeah, it's like the things that alter your brain chemistry, like there's a lot of those as NICU nurses, I think.
Totally. And now you've kind of alluded to not having a lot of resources. I agree with that. I would have never even thought that there could be a resource for applying to get to the NICU.
Right.
Felt the same way with travel nursing. But you have started NICUity.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about NICUity.
Yeah.
Give us the background on that and how it came to be.
Right. So going back when I started travel nursing in roughly 2016,
Hmm.
And at that time, let's think it was like Instagram days, Facebook days, right?
Yeah.
And at the time, I was like, okay, I'm just going to start sharing my little days. So it was like a post here and there, right, of starting my new job. And then it was
Mhm.
like, oh, like, let's just share little bits of what I'm doing, right?
Was
And
your goal to build an audience? Because
no,
at that point, I don't think it was like,
no,
oh, influencing wasn't a thing.
totally. At the
But okay.
time, no. And honestly, my whole platform and what I was doing started as lifestyle. I got married in 2017, 18. And at the time, I was kind of doing some lifestyle wedding stuff, right?
Hmm.
And I was invited to a photo shoot because my makeup artist who did my makeup for my wedding was like, hey, All Heart Scrubs, shout out, love them. They're the whole reason I'm basically doing this. So I owe them a lot, is doing this shoot campaign for real nurses. And they want real nurses to show up. And I thought of you. Would you like to go? And so I did. Fast forward, there was quite a few people there who were already in the space of content creation and
Hmm.
the very beginnings of what I would argue is like nurse ambassadors, nurse content creators.
Hmm.
And they were all like, oh my God, you do NICU? There's no one in the space doing NICU. You should definitely start talking about that. And so that was kind of the turning point for me where I was like, okay, let's do it. So I started
Hmm.
sharing and educating. And, it was really interesting because I would have to do a post and I'd really have to think about, is this correct? Right.
Hmm.
I was finding myself I had to fact check and make sure what I'm saying is correct. I wanted to make sure it was very accurate or as accurate to the most general and also consumable from the point of what we do in the NICU is very traumatizing for parents, right?
Well,
So,
that's why I've never leaned into the preemies part of passports and
mhm,
preemies because
I
I'm
know,
too scared that I'm going to share
mhm,
something that's like incorrect
traumatizing.
or no,
Yes,
more incorrect.
yes.
But I'm not smart enough to lean into the NICU part. So let
There's
me just lean into the travel part.
there's definitely, I would agree. I'm right there with you. That's why I do partial education, partial lifestyle. For that reason, I leave it to the people like Amanda's NICU Ed, right?
Okay.
Lisa Houston. Those are the girlies for education. And I love that, right?
And you want to be respected, right? And
Yes.
like, oh my gosh, I respect you. Anything you say, I'm like, yes, that's true. But
I
there's
love you.
so many people that you're like, why do you
Yep.
have the authority to
Yes.
give this info? You don't.
I
Like, you
know.
literally don't. Yeah.
Yep. You really got to fact check. And that's the big thing is learning that kind of nuance, right? And so I think going into this space, I kind of knew I wanted to go into the educational space, right? That was definitely of intention, but I just wasn't sure how. So long story short, I kept getting a lot of questions, the same questions over and over and over. And I was like,
Hmm.
I really should make something where I can send someone to it with here's all my best education, my best resources, all in one spot. It lives forever. And that's when I
Hmm.
started my blog, Tips from Tori. And I
Hmm.
purposely did it Tips from Tori as opposed to Nurse Tori because I did want to still include lifestyle things. I didn't want you to come here and be like, it's just NICU nursing because I knew
Hmm.
myself, I'm too ADD. I need to have a little variety in my life.
Yeah.
I need to have a little this and that. I didn't want to just do NICU nursing, but I knew that this was something that was really important. So
Hmm.
started the blog. I would think of all these blogs, right? Like 14 ways to
Hmm.
land your NICU
You
nurse
have
job.
so many good ones of those.
Yeah, that's been part of the fun part, getting
Yeah.
creative with a little bit of clickbait, but make it fun. I also wanted to have a platform that was not sponsored by another school or because
Hmm.
you guys know when you're researching things out there, everything has an agenda. It's like everything on the back end was by a certain school, a CMA school, it was, an MSN school. It's like all these blogs it's too much. And I just wanted to have, here's the actual information. And a lot of the stuff out there was dated, it was not correct. They don't use the right terminology. It's
Hmm.
all shite. You know what I mean? So I was
Hmm.
like, we got to make it ourselves. So we did. And I wanted it to look cute and I wanted it to be fun and readable. So that started. And then fast forward, I had started the Selfie Show podcast in
Hmm.
2020. And that went on for about 3.5 years with my best friend, Sam. Originally, I started solo and then I brought Sam on and she brought the spice.
And I have to say, it is a really, I don't know if you stopped doing it, but I loved it. And if
Thank
anyone's listening that
you.
does not know it, you should go binge a
Thanks, guys.
few.
There's a
Because
lot of really good ones in there.
it is fun
It's very, I would
and it's
argue
informative.
Yeah,
It's
that was
both.
the kind of we
Mhm.
wanted like a fun pop culture style podcast that's not so heavy NICU or like nursing nurse. We wanted it
Right.
to be more, we're going to talk sex, we're going to talk wellness, we're going to talk
Okay, I
all
was
these
just gonna
crazy
say
things.
I'm impressed that you actually, when I was listening to it, I was like, why don't I just say more what's on my mind? Like,
Totally.
you're really good at that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We got spicy. We got really
Yeah.
spicy on
You
that.
really yes.
We did. A couple things happened where Sam, her career started taking off in more
Mhm.
corporate, and
Okay.
just her schedule and my schedule were getting kind of crazy. So we put it on hiatus. I don't know what's gonna happen with the selfie show. Never say never. We're both kind of like, she's on pause right now. I love podcasting. I think if there's one platform I love, it's that. I'm toying with my
You're
other
really
long
good at it,
form.
so
Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. It's so fun and playing with vlogging right now, maybe YouTube. So,
okay, okay.
but anyway, fast forward at that time, I was in this shift in my life. And I
Mhm,
was like, I am talking to all of these amazing people who are growing these amazing things, but I realized I still had a piece of my journey that I needed to grow and I needed to really have the time to do it. And as a creative, I am someone that has to be able to dedicate the time, and it jargons with or kind of messes with my creativity. So my analytical brain and my creative brain kind of had to, I had to choose one or the other. So I chose and I said, I need to start developing this company and we need to make something for the girlies. And I'm talking specifically my bedside girlies,
mhm,
because I really feel like right now there's nothing out there that helps support the bedside girly the way that we need it, right? That
mhm,
understands what we're going through, that helps with the things that we need help with, that really like helps people keep people at the bedside and supports people. And
mhm,
I wanted to create this brand that honestly, it's a standalone brand. I do not even want people to know that I'm one of the founders. Like I
mhm.
want people to just come across it and be like, oh, this is really cool.
Yeah, actually, that's really interesting because I know why you would do that. I understand why.
Yeah.
And I've gone through NICUity, so I know that,
Yeah.
yeah, you're not like which I guess I didn't put 2 and 2 together. You're definitely
Totally.
not the face of it.
Nope.
Okay, okay, that's so
NICUity is her
interesting.
own deal.
Yeah, okay.
I really, for me, it's what in terms of the brand, right? Like what we're trying to do is the hero is our girlies. You guys are the
Mhm,
heroes, the NICU providers, right? It's not about me. It's not about Tia. Tia was a good friend of mine who, at the time, we were social media friends, and I saw what she was doing. And I have such a love for her. She radiates like who she is. You can just
yeah.
tell how genuine. And so I reached out to her and I said, hey, I want to create this. I reached out to you too. I was
Yeah.
like, girl, hey, I want to do this. And I knew there was going to be, you and Tia were the two girlies at the time that I was like, I really thought you two would be the ones. And I knew you were kind of doing your thing.
I always
So,
so wonder, like, what if I said yes? I don't regret saying no,
no,
but I always think about it.
you're doing the thing that you need to be doing. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I think also,
Every time I see you guys hit a milestone or I just,
yeah.
watch you, whatever, I'm like, "Oh, it's so cool. I'm really proud."
Oh, I
I
love
think it's
you.
really cool.
No,
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said for there's space for all of us in this, and what
Mhm,
you are doing is filling a need that is honestly just as important. And so I think for us, for Tia, it was perfectly aligned where
mhm,
her time wasn't being sucked up by you have your own thing going on, right? You have a
mhm.
lot going on, Kylie. I mean, you're doing a lot, girl. And so it was perfectly kismet. Initially, she did tell me, she said, let me think on this before I say yes. And she took a couple days and she did end up getting back to me. And anyway,
Which is
fast
good. I
forward.
feel like
Yeah.
it's good. It's better to think about it and make sure it's something you're able to put
Yes.
100% into.
So
Yeah.
100%. And I think honestly, both of us to this day, we had no idea the depths or where we would go with this company. And fun fact, NICUity's name before NICUity was actually the NICU University. It was like
Okay.
NICU, all one word. And that we found out was trademarked. And so we were like, oh
Okay.
shit, we got to go back to the drawing board.
NICUity's so cute.
It's so fun.
It's
It's so
perfect.
fun.
It's literally
So fun.
perfect. Yeah.
Yes, it's your one-stop shop. Our goal with it is to create accessible, affordable resources in addition to the bedside stuff. You're talking your report sheets. We're talking even some cute swag. We have created these amazing badge cards that I would argue are,
I love
top of
them.
the line.
I did too. Yeah, I would too.
We spent, I'm not telling you, Tia was really the mastermind. I was the one who came in with like, okay, these are the topics. This is the information. This is what we need to have. And then she was the one that diligently created them. And then creatively, I was the one being like, okay, it needs to look like this. So it's an interesting, we have the perfect flow in terms of work ethic. It's amazing. And then fast forward, Gabe joined us about, let's see, what was it? January. And then we launched in May. So he was
May
a big
2020.
2024. Yes,
2024.
correct.
Okay.
I know. My years are getting crazy
so it's
too.
It's been a year, a little over a year. Okay.
Yeah. And we had some really exciting.
I was going to say, I know that starting a business is such a roller coaster, but are you excited about where you're at?
I love it.
Do you feel like I'm sure that there's still growth to be had, but do you feel like you're on track?
We are. And I would say right now, how I feel is it's kind of wild because early on, so we launched in May of 2024. And then in February or March of 25, we hand selected a few people to take our tests or to take our master class, which that's really, when I think about it, that's our hero product is our master class, right? We developed that for our new girls, our millennial Gen Z girlies who are starting in NICU, whether you're coming from an ICU or you're coming from being a new grad, you can take this course, right? And it's going to give you a good foundation. You're going to at least have that, right, as a base. And so we had people take it and then gave us a lot of feedback on how can we improve? What are other topics that you want? Where should we grow? Like we're hearing it directly from our people.
Yeah.
And so that's exactly what we did. And so really exciting. We do have some new courses launching, fingers crossed, at the end of the year. Some really big ones that I know people really, really, really want.
Okay.
And so, and then that's not out there. There's nothing like this that exists. So.
Well, I can confirm because I looked, or like you gave me access to the course and it's really amazing. And I have a discount code and then I'm going to put it in the show notes. So if you're listening to this and you're working in the NICU and you just need, obviously merch, the badges, but if you also need more educational help.
I would say also the exciting thing about that is we just revamped our masterclass. So we're officially relaunching them in, I want to say August is the hope, but we've improved it even from where you saw it. We had on-screen captions and now we have a lot more graphics. That was something that a lot of people had said was, we really want to see it's very YouTube style learning, right? The point of this is you come in, it's fun, it's engaging, it's easy to watch, it's digestible, but also now we added some visuals. So for any of you who are using this code, automatically you'll be enrolled for the new updated versions, but just so you know, the graphics are coming. That's exciting. And your code will be applicable for all of our upcoming amazing courses that are going to be launching. So if you guys are interested towards the end of the year, absolutely use that to be applicable for everything.
And my question was, how did you, one, create hype around NICUity? Like, it's such a crowded, there's not a lot of resources for this, but it's still crowded. This online space. How did you create hype? And then two, how did you make it so that people can trust you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, great questions.
Like I followed you forever, so I trust you. But if you're just coming upon it, it's like, how do you know that you know what you're talking about?
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely think there's a level to this. What's so interesting is maybe to your point, Kylie, is the one thing that I will say about brands or people creating a company, right? I think people do it backwards where they think of this company and they're like, I need to make the company. And then the people will come. I think it's the other way around. You need to start creating and developing your community first. And I think developing that and starting to build that trust with your community, especially for those of us who are creating brands surrounding something like medical, right? Because you're right. There's a lot of check facting and a lot of things. I think there is a lot of validity to medical people.
Wait,
yes.
You just said check facting.
Check facting.
Fact
checking. That's my dyslexia coming in, you guys.
I love it.
That's my brain. This is how we think.
I was like,
check facting,
okay.
fact checking. So, but there's a lot of this medical thing, in the medical world specifically, right? My niche is NICU nursing. I
Mhm.
feel like there's a lot of, while it is a little bit of a crowded space, there's not a lot of us in that area talking about the things that we're doing, right? And I think because you and I have taken the time, and I think people know that when they come to us, right? They know that we've taken the time, we've lived it, we've
Mhm.
done it.
Mhm.
Like there's a certain level of validation when you come here,
Mhm.
girl, I'm right in it with you. That's part of what I'm doing on social media is sharing my in time of, like getting ready with me and the lifestyle of what I do and how do I do it and being very honest and
Mhm.
vulnerable. I was open about my miscarriage. I was open
Mhm.
about a lot of things that have happened throughout my life and
Yeah.
sharing also work, right? I work night shift. That's hard. Kind of creating these things and being very honest with people. Like it's
Mhm.
not always roses. I have
Mhm.
had burnout and my journey was not a perfect line. There was a lot of, okay, let's try this, let's try that. And I think with that, and it does take time in terms of the immediacy, it just depends on the person that's coming. I think anyone who, if you're immediately coming to me and you're someone that's not a NICU nurse, I think there's already a level of, in terms of branding, you come to the site or you come to my page and it's like, I'm giving you exactly who I am. Right. And I
Mhm.
think that is very relatable right now. A lot of these younger kids, they want to know when they come to your profile, when they come to your site, who are you? Should I follow you? Right. Are
Mhm.
you even in
Yeah.
line with
Yeah,
someone?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you're going to know immediately when you come to me if you're going to follow me or not.
I think that you are especially good at that. I don't think everybody has that quality. I don't think that I do. I think that you naturally do.
Oh,
And so I
love
agree
you.
with that, though. People like you, obviously, whether or not you're not obviously not the face of NICUity, but people trust you.
Right.
And so it maybe if they do see your name attached to it, it holds a lot of weight.
I do think that's right. And I do think, kind of on that lines, I am obsessed with shows that I can learn from people who build brand and business and successful
Mhm.
businesses, right? And one of the best things I ever heard was people don't follow brands, they follow
Mhm.
people,
I've
right?
heard
They want
this.
to follow and learn people. And I
Mhm.
100% agree with that. You need to know and want to follow me in order to want to follow the brand. And our strategy in terms of getting the name out there has been social media. Like, I
Mhm.
think that's the best strategy. We don't put any ad dollars
I was gonna
into
ask, yeah.
Facebook. We don't put any ad dollars into SEO right now. Everything has been authentically through either Instagram, TikTok, or my blog. I would also argue Pinterest is low key a
Yeah,
very, very
the
useful
best.
tool.
Mhm.
Love, like for a lot of us in this space, Pinterest is a must. And then kind of learning, okay, YouTube Shorts, getting into
Mhm.
spaces, there's so much opportunity for it. I know there's a lot of companies who do, they would rather put the money into Facebook, into SEO. Personally, I don't think that's where our audience is.
Yeah.
My audience, my
Well,
girlies are on
you
social media.
probably have a quite young audience?
Yes,
Like,
that's our intention.
yeah,
Yep,
you're
that's our intention.
targeting new nurses
Yep,
or nurses that have just switched into NICU, yeah.
100%. I hope we capture with our new courses for all my
Yeah?
girlies who are seasoned out there. Don't you worry. There are things coming. We started with the intention of building a foundation for our newbies to the NICU, right? And now we've grown into hopefully a space, or will be towards the end of the year, of things that we know our seasoned girlies want, right?
Yeah, yeah.
These are the things that, okay, if I was coming to a NICU education, these are the things I want to brush up
Mhm.
on.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
If I ever go back to the NICU, I mean, I'm coming to NICUity first, but
Yeah.
also if I ever go back to the NICU, it's gonna be a sad day.
I,
It won't be a happy day. So
I
so if
also
I
love that conversation. To be honest, I love it. I think that's something, Kylie, that I really love about you. And there's a lot of that out there. A lot of
Mhm.
people are burned out. They're over it. They're done. And I think what you and I are doing is fun in the terms of we're branching out away from
Mhm.
bedside to some degree and creating something that we've loved. We have passion for the NICU, but it's also nice to have something for yourself that's away from the bedside.
Do you hope to leave the bedside
I
altogether?
get that question a lot. For now, no.
Okay.
I never say never, but there's a piece of what I do that's very authentically like a working NICU nurse.
Mhm.
I don't see a lot of that out there. And I think there's a
But does
lot to
that
that.
But does it make you feel pressured to stay?
A little, maybe a little, if I'm being honest, but at the same time, it also keeps me kind of rejuvenated. There's a little
Mhm.
piece to it where I'm like, okay, this week, how am I going to do my get ready? Or how am I going to do this? Or like
Mhm.
redoing my work bag, things to keep it fresh. Okay, I'm
Mhm.
precepting. What are things that I can bring in from my preceptor?
Mhm.
What are new things that are going on? How can I contribute to this keynote
Mhm.
speaking and make it very
Mhm.
having my foot in? Mind you, you guys know, a lot of you who have been with me, I work per diem and I am night shift, right? So I work 1 to 2 shifts a week. I'm not full time, which I think is a big piece of it. And I also work in a unionized hospital in California. I get paid very well for what I do. And I'm very happy in my unit. And I think those are
Mhm.
all very big things. If I was working in a unit where I was not being compensated the way I felt like I should be to meet at least my living needs and then some, right?
Right.
And if I was in a place where it was a toxic work culture, because we know that's out there as well, or if I was
Mhm.
in a situation where I had to work full time, I feel thankful I've created a situation where I don't necessarily have to work full time. So, part of my income comes from the social media categories and part of it comes from bedside. It's definitely, I would say, never say never, but for now, my plan is definitely to continue to work bedside. I like representing the bedside girly. I think
Yeah.
there's a little piece of it that is relatable. Now, I'll also say this in terms of keeping up physically, mentally, there's a lot of things I have to do. Like now I'm on a GLP-1 baby
I
and I'm
saw.
doing peptides and NAD and I'm into the optimizing wellness
Do
space and
you
I think that
love
helps.
NAD? I
I
really
do.
wish that I could. I don't think they have it in France, but
Okay, so
I
NAD is, I will say,
okay.
very difficult IV. I'm no longer going to do it IV anymore. It's very
Okay,
hard. Let me explain it for people who have ever done or not done NAD. It feels like this pressure is
I've
like
heard
sitting
this,
on your
yeah.
chest and then you get hot flashes. A lot of times people will have GI issues. You'll need
Mhm.
to immediately go to the bathroom or get nauseous. Nausea
Mhm.
is it's bad. So currently I'm doing little baby micro doses of NAD like once a week, once every other week. And that's been
Okay.
very helpful. But I think I'm very much into that space. I
Yeah, yeah.
love micro needling. I love to keep up with this. I love trying new things. My husband and I are into like the supplements and the
Mhm.
keeping up with the things. We have a cold plunge. I'm very much into
Oh,
that
yeah.
space. And so I think that's helpful.
I enjoy when you post that content 'cause I'm
Thanks.
into it, but I am on a GLP-1 as well, but I haven't done any like, I
Yeah,
want to do NAD, I wanna do all these things,
totally.
but I'm not doing it right now.
No, it's great. But it's also something where that's why the beauty of social media, like you can always learn, it's always there, right?
Mhm.
And we can dabble, you can put your foot in. But I think for my night shifters, lifestyle wise, people are like, how the hell do you do this? I'm like, well,
No, literally, yeah, I think you're crazy,
it's
but in
nuts.
a good way.
It's crazy. No, it is crazy. And I have to kind of be on like a little bit of
Tori,
a,
and to think if you ever gave up, the world would miss you.
oh my God.
The
Oh my
NICU
God.
would really struggle without you. Honest
Oh,
to God.
I love
Honest to
you.
God.
Thank you. I appreciate that. No, it's
Okay,
been a fun journey, but yes.
in the past, you've said, "The moment that you feel complacent, stagnant, or burnout, you have to shift." So, if you are talking to somebody that felt those things, but was too scared to make a change, like, what would you tell them? What
I
advice
think,
would you have?
yeah, I think my advice would be it's scarier to stay the same and to
Okay.
not change. I know
Yeah.
change can be hard, but I think for me and how I'm built is if I am complacent, if I am bored, if I am
Mhm.
unhappy, if I'm feeling, and I know a lot of us work in units where these things are happening right now, you're feeling a certain way. I personally have to make a shift, whether it is at home or whether it is in my workspace. And my goal when I come into work is to be the happy person that everybody wants to be around. When I come in, I'm coming in, and I hope that everyone that I've worked with could speak to this. Like, I genuinely mean this. I want people to feel good and happy and light when I'm in there. We can still talk about the hard things and like the shitty shit but I want you to feel good and have a good, like if we're in a pod together or we're working side by side, you are not going to have a shitty shift. You're going to have a great shift. And that is literally my goal. I think I've worked very hard to get there. I've tried NNP school. I tried, I did critical care float pool because I was so burned out in the NICU I was working in and I was so over it. I was like, I literally need like a full revamp. I cannot do this anymore. So I went and I worked critical care float pool for a year. I tried NNP school, and wouldn't you know, I realized I didn't want to become an NNP, and I did not like critical care float pool. I have a whole new perspective.
See, we're gonna have to do another episode because I also wanted to go down the NMP route, but
Yeah,
I don't think we have time to, so
that's
we'll have
okay.
to come back.
Totally.
Wrapping up, okay, what does clocking out look like to you? And
Yeah.
clocking out of NICUity too,
Yeah,
completely clocking
that's
out.
a very good yes, because owning a business, I don't know if you ever get to clock out really, but lately it's been being a mom. I love being a mom. I know that was a journey for me fertility-wise. I'll just say briefly, like, my fertility journey also was full of failures. I had a miscarriage before my daughter, before we had her. So I had a miscarriage in July, and then we finally conceived her December, January. And she was born last October 2024. And I will say we also did an egg freezing journey, which definitely put a lot of perspective into life and decisions. Do we want to have kids? I would say the decision, or when the miscarriage happened, that was the thing that I knew 100%. I know I want to have children. That particular situation, that loss, that grieving really, really set into my brain. Oh, I definitely want to have kids. So I changed my lifestyle. I really, at the time, was going too hard on work. That's when the transition from Selfie Show to NICUity kind of happened. Again, something out of failure, right, resulted in me completely having to change my life and my lifestyle and the things that I wanted to see. At the time, I said, where do I want to be in 5 years? I know that's one of the things we were going to talk about is where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I'm living out what I said then, which is I wanted to have NICUity. I wanted a standalone brand that could really run itself and something that I could help grow and make beautiful and amazing. I want to have one, maybe two kids, and I want to be well on my way to creating this social media, like an empire, if you will, of supportive girlies and amazingness. It's interesting because I think clocking out for me, it feels like weird to say this, but it's content creation. It's being a mom. It's running NICUity to some degree. It is nice at this point with NICUity. We have Abby. She is my heart and soul, my
love
background.
Abby. I've emailed Abby.
Yep.
I've never met her,
You
but
know
I
Abby
love
very
her.
well.
Yeah, I love her.
Abby's
She's great.
wonderful. She's so good. I could not function without her, and that's like a business 101, right? Is having to learn where I wanted to spend the money, where we needed to spend the money as a business in order to get to where we want to. Because there's no way that Tia, Gabe, and I, even the three of us, could run this business without help.
I love podcasting because I love to talk to people, but I hate the other stuff.
I know.
So I hired somebody, and it's like, well, right now I'm not making money on the podcast, but it's all about freeing that up and like doing what you're good at and then attracting.
It's also,
I'm in my attraction phase.
I love that. That's such a good way of like, I just watched a TikTok on that about the art of attracting versus forcing, right? And I think a lot of that, there's a lot of value right now into long form, which is why I want to get back into YouTube in long form girlies, because the long form does tend to be more expensive, right? For all of us who are in that space, you have to pay for editors, you have to pay for platforms, you have to pay for things. But ultimately, long term, for the people who are invested in you, those are the things that really, really help. Like, you guys want to hear from her all the time.
I started a YouTube and I think I hate it. I told myself I'm doing it for a whole year.
I love that.
I'm going to do it one entire year and that's that, but I hate it right now.
No, it's great. And that's the thing is not every creator needs to be on every platform.
No.
There's times where I'm watching these TikTok girlies who are starting podcasts and I'm like, girl, you don't need to be on a podcast. Like, it's not for you. Like, stick to your short form or stick to something. Maybe be the guest on podcasts, but in hosting, there's a lot of people out there that I think are just not, and that's okay. Like, self-realization. We're learning as we go. Like, all this stuff is still new and we're still learning. And I love podcasting. I will say, Kylie, I was doing too much. And at the time, we really needed a manager. Had I had a manager or someone to really do a lot of the things that I just did not want to do, we probably would still be doing it. We'll see. TBD down the line. But yeah,
well, if
it's
you
learning.
Need one, you can ask me.
A lot of learning.
And I can share with you.
Perfect.
My manager, because she's great.
Okay, well, here we go. Love that for us.
Okay, my famous question. Where is your favorite place that you have traveled to in the United States and abroad.
Okay. Abroad, 100% is Florence, Italy.
Okay.
Stunningly beautiful.
Love it. Love.
A goal of mine, I just found out that I'm actually Iberian,
Oh, so you can get citizenship?
Portuguese. I think so, maybe. Yeah, because
Okay.
I'm 30 or 40% I like Portuguese. So
Okay.
maybe TBD, we'll
Amazing.
see. But I would love to go. That's like a goal of mine. I know my people are there. Those are my people.
Yeah.
And then in terms of the United States, 1000% Big Sur. Big Sur,
Okay. Yeah.
specifically, if you ever have the money and the time, go to Ventana, La Ventana
I was
in Big
literally
Sur.
just gonna say, have you heard of that place? I've never stayed there, but I really want to. But it's very
insane.
very pricey, but probably for a good reason. Yeah.
Ridiculously expensive. It is just the most peaceful, beautiful. It's where the ocean meets the forest. And so you're literally
so
overlooking, you're in a forest overlooking the ocean. It's something about that place is just so peaceful and beautiful. And we had booked one of the lesser expensive things, which is their camping site. And the camping sites apparently were booked up. So they're like, oh, we'll put you in one of our rooms for the same price.
Stop. Was it amazing?
It was, I'm not gonna lie, it was beautiful. So that 100%. That, and then also Paso Robles, like if you're someone in California, California to me
I
is
love
just,
it there.
Yeah, Paso's so much fun. Highly recommend going either fall time during fall harvest and or even January, February. I took my mom there and it's kind of rainy, gloomy, but honestly, so much fun because it's not hot. All the wineries really want you there because it's off
not
season.
crowded. Yeah.
Not crowded. The food is still amazing. You just hire a driver to go around. It's the best.
And it's cheaper than Napa and
100%.
Sonoma. Yeah.
Yep. And then shout out for Paso is Hotel Cheval if you ever go. Also a very expensive hotel. There's a theme here, right? Okay.
I was going to say.
Love it.
I love it. Yeah.
Hotel Cheval. So yeah, I would say those are my top favorites.
Okay, tell us where people can find you and find NICUity.
Yes.
And
okay, so
Selfie.
Oh yeah, all of the things. Okay, so you can find Nurse Tori IG at Nurse Tori, also on TikTok. NICUity, it's at NICUity. It's a little play on acuity, NICUity for those of you guys who you know. And then for NICUity website, that's www.nicuity.com. Over there, we have, in terms of courses, we have our new courses coming out at the end of the year. We have report sheets. We have tip sheets. We have so many amazing goodies, badge reels, badge cards, really, really fun, amazing things. And then OG girlies, if you want to go back and listen to some amazing content, Selfie, that's at CELLFIE. It's a little play, a little pun. We love a medical pun, Selfie. That was honestly probably one of my more favorite names, Selfie, that I came up with because at the time I was like, I want it to be medical, but I want it to be fun. And yeah, she's beautiful. I don't know. We got to revive her somehow.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I agree. But YouTube, aren't you on YouTube?
I am on YouTube as well at Nurse Tori. So we're reviving that. She's coming back this year, probably in the next month or two. We're coming back. I started my vlogging series after Sloan was born up until the holidays, and we're going to bring her back. And
good.
I just needed to pause while we were doing all of our NICUity things.
I understand.
But yeah.
Okay. Thank you for coming on today. It was so much fun.
Thank you so much. I love you. Mwah.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Clocked Out, Life Beyond the Bedside. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love it if you could take a moment to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with a fellow nurse who needs to hear it. For more on thriving beyond the bedside, make sure to follow along on Instagram and check out Passports and Preemies, where we talk travel, wellness, and building a life that works for you.